Operation Barbarossa, launched on June 22, 1941, was Adolf Hitler's boldest and most reckless gamble, a campaign driven by ideology, ambition, and fatal miscalculation. Convinced that Nazi Germany could destroy the Soviet Union in a single crushing blow, Hitler ordered the largest land invasion in history, sending more than 3 million Axis troops across a vast front stretching from the Baltic Sea to the Black Sea. The goal was not only military victory, but total annihilation, the collapse of the Soviet state, the seizure of land and resources, and the fulfillment of Hitler's vision of German expansion to the east. From the very beginning, this was a war unlike any other, shaped by racial hatred and fought with unprecedented brutality. In its opening weeks, Operation Barbarossa appeared to confirm Hitler's confidence. The German army advanced with stunning speed, using coordinated tank assaults, air power, and rapid encirclements to shatter Soviet defenses. Entire Red Army formations were surrounded and destroyed at Minsk and Smolensk, and hundreds of thousands of Soviet soldiers were taken prisoner. German commanders believed the Soviet Union was on the verge of collapse. Yet beneath these dramatic victories lay serious problems. German supply lines stretched hundreds of kilometers across poor roads, rail systems were incompatible, and fuel, food, and spare parts lagged behind the advancing troops. Most critically, German intelligence had vastly underestimated Soviet manpower, industrial capacity, and the state's ability to recover from catastrophic losses. As the summer of 1941 wore on, strategic disagreements at the highest level began to slow the German advance. Instead of concentrating all forces on a single decisive objective, Hitler diverted troops to secure Ukraine and lay siege to Leningrad, believing economic targets and symbolic cities were more important than the immediate capture of Moscow. The result was a costly delay. While German forces encircled Kiev and inflicted one of the largest defeats in Soviet military history, precious time slipped away. The Soviet leadership, under Joseph Stalin, used that time to mobilize reserves, relocate entire factories east of the Ural Mountains, and harden the defense of the capital. When the final German push toward Moscow began in October under Operation Typhoon, the conditions had changed dramatically. Autumn rains turned roads into seas of mud, immobilizing vehicles and exhausting soldiers. As temperatures fell, German troops, still expecting a short campaign, lacked winter clothing and proper equipment. Meanwhile, the Red Army, reinforced by fresh divisions from Siberia, made available by Soviet intelligence that Japan would not attack in the east, prepared for a counterstroke. On the outskirts of Moscow, the German advance finally stalled. In early December 1941, Soviet forces launched a massive counteroffensive, pushing the invaders back and shattering the myth of German invincibility. Beyond the battlefield, Operation Barbarossa unleashed a campaign of terror across occupied Soviet territory. Nazi racial ideology turned the invasion into a war of extermination. Millions of Soviet prisoners of war were starved or executed. Civilians were massacred, and Jewish communities were systematically destroyed by mobile killing units. These crimes hardened Soviet resistance and ensured that the conflict would become a total war, fought to the end. Rather than collapsing, Soviet society rallied around survival and revenge, absorbing immense losses while continuing to fight. By failing to defeat the Soviet Union in 1941, Hitler condemned Germany to a prolonged war of attrition it could not win. Barbarossa had opened a vast eastern front that consumed men, equipment, and resources on a scale no European power could sustain indefinitely. As the Soviet Union rebuilt its armies and industry, and as Allied support increased, the balance of power shifted irreversibly. Germany's decision to invade the Soviet Union, driven by overconfidence and ideological obsession, transformed a war of conquest into a struggle for survival on multiple fronts. Operation Barbarossa did not end the Third Reich in 1941, but it set in motion the chain of events that made its defeat inevitable, sealing the fate of Hitler's empire in the snows and ruins of the Eastern Front.